Hey everybody, let's see if we can get this to work. I am inside the house right now and I wanted to show you something I made. Before we get into it, I thought I would let you see the fireplace. This is where Jason and I often sit on the couch. Please don't look at any dust or lint. We have cats and of course Typewriter the hamster. I'm really hoping that I can do this in a way that is not completely offensive. This is a journal that I made today with one of my fun packs. And you all know from time to time, I will just put together a bunch of stuff that I've collected, maybe from things that I've used and purchased and, had leftovers. I have 4 fun packs normally, and I always keep one for myself to make something. This is what I made with the current one. And we've got this beautiful cover that I made from the front of another old book. It's got a wax seal here. You can see that's pretty, and there's part of a piece of Tim Holtz fabric, some flowers, gold paint. She's been cut out of a beautiful book page. I will talk more about what inspired the cover. Really quickly, I just want to show you some of the features of this book, or some of the things that I did. The kit has got book pages, it's got postcards. What all does it have? It's got different types of paper. It's got some, it's got a map, it's got some heart-shaped doilies. Just a lot of bits and bobs. It's got some playing cards. It has envelopes. And, I just pulled out the things that I wanted and went ahead and made an art journal that I'm going to be using for a period of time as I create artistic spreads with, different elements, collage, trying to paint faces, sketches, different techniques, things that we might find new in Stampington magazines that we want to try out. I wanted to give you a little bit of an intro before I get into showing you how this all came about. It seemed overwhelming to try to figure out just how many pages to tear out and where. So I said, hey, I'm gonna go through and pick out the least appealing images. And it was everything from just the harsh lines, maybe of an illustration, or the content, or just, maybe it was a topic that I didn't want to have in this book. And by the time I tore all of these pages out, I was left with this, which I think is going to be perfect to alter. Sometimes instinct is a really good tool. Another thing I used is going through and just looking for images of women. There are so many men in the history books. That's okay, but I challenge you to go back and look at old books and see just how many images you can find of important women. It's mostly men. So I tore a lot of men out and left women. I love taking one of the fun kits every month and seeing what I can come up with as far as creating something spontaneously. This idea for the cover, so here is the book that was in the fun kit. It's a Funk and Wagnall Standard Reference Encyclopedia. Not that big, about 5.5 by 8.5. A little bit bigger than the planners I've been using. But I want to show you, this is Somerset Studio, August, September, October 2021. And one of the things in here that really appealed to me, this very first article, Karen Mueller, it's called Women in Nature. It's talking about taking these old black and white photos and then embellishing the photos with floral images and different like cutouts. So it's got, of course, the things that you need to do this and some examples of her work. Totally inspired by this. I keep old book covers around all the time. This was a really pretty book cover, and it's from the Forsyte Saga, which I don't know if any of you have ever seen the Forsyte Saga. I believe that was maybe a Masterpiece Theater or something like that. Maybe part of public broadcasting. This cover, I love the size. I knew I wanted to use it. This was actually the front. It's got this embossed area on the front of the cover. I didn't want to glue over that. The back was completely flat, so I thought, well, I will just reverse them. And it's okay with me if these frayed edges end up on the outsides. I'm thinking I'm going to attach these to the outside of the books. One of the things mentioned in the article in Somerset by Karen Mueller is that between every layer she would use wax paper to lay on the, you know, what she had done, and then weight it down so it would dry flat. Maybe I'm totally getting that now, because when I came out here this morning with the moisture from the glue, this cover has warped the tiniest bit, and you know you have to be really careful trying to fold something like, or bend something like this back into shape. It also looks like I got some gold paint over into the center of this fabric, which I did not mean to do, but that's okay. It's not too bad. The different layers, this is a really pretty image from a book. The paper in the background is some beautiful scrapbook paper I found recently. 2 of the vintage velvet leaves that I had a huge stash of these and have had them for probably 12 to 15 years. I don't remember the exact time frame. The flowers on top came from this paper, and I know these don't really look like they match, but once I fussy cut the flowers out and took most of that blue out, it wasn't so bad. I was trying to just recreate the idea though of these different layers with flowers on top of the old black and white images, and I didn't go with black and white. I went with something that was more sepia or sepia. The book that was in the kit, I know I've already mentioned that I tore some pages out. I'm recycling a lot of those pages. The images don't appeal to me. It's not anything I'm going to want to put into the shop and sell. I don't know why these are sitting here. Oh, maybe I wanted the word eminent domain. So let's just tear that out and recycle these. If there were any pages where I wanted to keep just part of an image, I've just put those pages to the side. Paris Uprising of 1830, Liberty Leading the People. I'm not sure I want to use this, but maybe I do love her going forward with the flag like that. So I kept those. But now I'm going to get into seeing how I want to fill this out and incorporate things into it from the fun kit. I was just noticing in the book that it looks pretty uniform where I've torn things out, except this area right here. So I'm going to go in and just randomly take a few more pages out. I know there's a lot on the desk right now. I've pulled out everything that's in the kit. I wanted to sort everything, and I work better sometimes if I can see everything I've got available. An idea will come to me more easily if I can see things. That's one reason so much in my shop is out on display and not in, you know, boxes and bins hidden away. If I put something away out of sight, I forget about it. That's just the way my mind works. Not everybody is like that, but I'm very visual. I have to see things. I did tear out a few more pages, and that looks a lot more even. It was very quick, very easy to do. Okay, each kit has some fabric, and I went ahead and tore down a strip that is going to fit just perfectly on the inside here, and I will show you why. I want to glue this to the front, but I don't want it to stand up, so I'm going to use my awl to poke holes in the 4 corners through here and then all the way through this book. And we're going to put some brads in, and I do have a lot of those, all different sizes, and that's something that technique, using brads to attach things, is something that I really like to do because it really holds something like this into place. You have your glue, and then you have the brads, and you can come to the inside and cover it. so the brads are not visible. I like this heavy canvas fabric because it glues nicely and you can add other things to it. It unravels without completely falling apart and being kind of frayed like you know, satin edges or something like that. Some things can just get completely out of hand. I make a lot of projects when I'm using things like this that end up really colorful, but I kind of want to keep this one grungy and on the black and white, really vintage side. So I decided to use the postcards by showing this side that you write on. And there are some in here that are more glossy. The back is not really totally desirable to me at this point, so I'm skipping over those. This one is a beautiful old image. It's a reproduction, so I'm probably gonna leave this side showing on this one. I especially like that the green in this ties in with the cover of the actual book and then the cover that we made. I usually don't work with a lot of green, but the book is kind of dictating what I want to use with it. So for right now, I'm just going through and seeing what sort of postcards I have in here. That start button is kind of interesting. There's a beautiful old postcard. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna do this, but I did want to share that idea of maybe using the backs of postcards. I think we always feel like we have to go with the front of something. And I'm using a clip to hold the book down while I tape these into place. I started out thinking that I would use glue, but it really does sort of ripple the pages on the other side, and it takes quite a bit of drying time, and I just want this to be a fast process that I can just enjoy being creative. That's really one of my favorite things to do out here. Also, a lot of times I find that projects like this end up being the most interesting and the prettiest because you see somebody's thought process. Everything just feels really raw and like it was just done, if you will. I know I want to use this side on this one, and instead of the English literature, I'm so thrilled that this section is in here. That was my major in college. So let's turn to a page that doesn't have those pictures on it. We can also cut these. You know, it doesn't have to be kept in one piece. We could also come back with washi tape to put over top of the masking tape. What a mess I've got on this desk. But I wanted to turn the camera on right now and show you that I'm going to attach this book cover to the front. And ooh, we could put some of these behind the brads. The brads do need to be long enough. This says search. I like that. The brads do need to be long enough to go through and fold over on the other side. A lot of these have been opened up before, so you know it's not easy sometimes to get them through the holes. But look at that. Isn't that great? I'm really, really loving that. Now, poking the hole through, where did it go? Here. I use my awl, and I really like that I have this. It's really wide. I don't know if you can see it. It's very sharp. I think it's old. I found it at a thrift store. It's got Japan here. Maybe it was used for some specific purpose other than book making, but this is my favorite one that I have. I think you could use any kind. You would just have to poke maybe 2 or 3 holes side by side or lengthen the hole so that you can put a brad through. I have some decorative brads too that might be pretty. Anyway, I will be back. All right, I wanted to check in again and just show you what I'm doing here. I tore this image out of one of the pages that was in the kit, and then I didn't like how messy it was. There is also some vintage lined paper in the fun pack. So I took a few sheets and cut them down to the size of the page, took them over to the sewing machine and sewed them together. You don't have to use a sewing machine. You could glue them, you could staple them, anything that you want to do to put them together. I laid it on top of the image and just kind of guessed by scribbling around what felt like it would be the image. And I then just kind of poked the scissors through and cut a sort of a messy oval. The oval doesn't appear to be so messy because we've got the scribbles out here and it makes it look really even, but I just cut it by sight, so I'm sure that it's not perfectly even. This gives us a place to write. I really like this. I've been alternating my tacky glue, what's left of it, and this Jot white glue. We will see how that turns out. But I really like this, and I like how the book is coming along. I'm trying to use up some supplies. I ran an alcohol ink bottle around the edges and just let that run into a lot of the pages. I rarely use green. I know I mentioned that. I had some leftover Glimmer Mist in, what color is this? Lily Pad. You can see, I mean, all of the others are gone and empty, or empty and gone at this point, and look how much green is left. I decided to go ahead and use the green since it really fits in with the book. Sometimes it's a nice challenge to let a piece of material or some sort of medium lead you, and you know, it will often lead you to try something new and maybe discover something that you didn't know you liked. That page was a little bit wet, but we're going to close it anyway. It's okay if some of the paint gets on both pages. This is my finished journal from what I decided to do with my fun kit. Now, honestly, there are some things in the fun kit that I didn't use. I ended up not using some of these forms. I probably will at some point. All of this that's left over is going to go into a folder. This folder actually came in the kit as well, so it's going to just hold things that, you know, I might look through later. I recycled some things where I only used part of a page. I didn't decide yet what I want to do with all of the postcards. What would you do with something like this, you might ask? Well, I'm going to use it as an art journal. I have a lot of journals going on, everybody knows that, but it is really nice to have a junky journal that you absolutely love, that you can just throw open, pick a page, and be creative. I've been working a little bit on this page, and I'll show you. I've gotten to this point. Each fun pack had some of these, it had a little bundle of these coin envelopes. So I just took one and opened it up and started to sketch a little face on it. A lot of times I will use pink or, you know, putting a little color in the face. I especially like this color. What am I holding right now? It's more of a red color, but I think I want even redder because of this Vanity Fair print that came from some scrapbook paper. So let's just put some color. Everybody, I think, by this point knows that I love these little R2 rollerball pens. The ink will run if you get it wet. I'm frequently okay with that. Sometimes I don't want that and I will choose something else to work with. You can tell the glue's still a little bit wet there. Let's add a little bit more of this. Add some over here. My water has actually got a little bit of blue in it, which I don't necessarily want. I need to empty it out and add some fresh water. If we come over here, let's see if this ink will run. And I've said many times, I think we all already know this, but the paper you're using too sometimes has a lot to do with how things run. The fibers in the paper might cause things to really soak in on one paper and not on another kind of paper. I'm liking the red in this, and I'm not always drawn to green. I'm not always drawn to red, but here we have both. Sometimes I think I should just put all of these in here, but I like to keep them neat in here, and I do occasionally put them all away. Just looking at this page, you know, I'm thinking, what else could we do here? A library card. I'm actually going to tear it down. I like that hole there and the type of paper that it is. I'm going to pull out the white paint because white is always nice. All of this pink and red reminds me of Valentine's Day, which is right around the corner. Let's put some of this red out. I'll actually get a clean brush. Yeah, that's getting a little bit glumpy or clumpy or whatever you want to call it. I've had that for a while. I need to buy some new paints. Let's try this. Is that gonna be, ooh, that is gonna make a nice. Ah, I love it. So we can glue that on and maybe just use the rest of this. Whenever you use acrylic paint on a stamp, you have to clean it right away because that acrylic paint will dry and harden and get down in the cracks in the stamp, you know, the things that make it what it is, and it will not be the same ever again. So even if I just take my paintbrush with water on it and clean it that way, I make sure to get that paint off right away. Let's glue this into place here. I don't want to waste any paint. Where we've already got these scribbles, let's just put, ooh. That left some really neat lines. I wonder if it, I don't know what really caused that. I just put some red down in this corner so that doesn't seem so pristine. Now I'm going to put some black out. I'm going to put out some black just to make some marks. This is so popular right now. I see it on so many Instagram pages. I see it in Stampington magazines. I see it on things in the store. Greeting cards, just these black spots, and there is something really appealing about this. You can make them, you can make a pattern, or you can do it randomly. And then why don't we just come right down here with some and let's kind of balance these corners. I know you see I went right over to that other page. I don't worry about that. That's one of the reasons I wanted to make just a really junky art journal. Another reason is that I want to be able to constantly put content on the channel. I'm always out here working on something, and I get tired of trying to run a hair dryer or a heat gun to dry things so that I can keep working. It's nice to have multiple projects, and this is one that I can, you know, put to the side. We spent what, 10 minutes on this page, and we came up with something that is really fun. I do know something that I want to write. I like her sassy face. I did say I was going to add some white. I do love white paint, and I think, you know, it'll just brighten up some areas. I love really thick layers of acrylic paint too when they dry. There's just something so fun about that. We'll put a big layer right here at the bottom of this card. The words I want to put on here are index this. Kind of like, you know, we've got these lips, and she does look pretty sassy. I'm just gonna run that right across the edge to make a little ledge of white there. And then I'm going to put this paper to the side. It'll dry with this on it and we'll use it for something else. We may just take part of this paper that's lined. I don't know if I want it over here or if I want it, I think I might just want it right here because it kind of references that. I do have some nice, but there's something about black and maybe even a Sharpie. I'm going to put this to the side to dry. This is the beginning of what is going to be a really fun art journal. And every video with this, whether this journal appears once weekly or, you know, twice a week, I don't know how much this journal is going to appear. My content is going to get more regular, and I'm going to bring back on a more regular basis the things that I've started, because they are still in here and still getting worked on. And I know it can be frustrating to think, well, you know, where did that go? She was going to come back to that. Anyway, I love this. We're going to stop for now, and you will see this again. And what I was going to say is that as we look at this again and again, I will explain more about how I made this one. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.